Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the Nomad TCG. Today I got another deck profile for you guys. And in this video, I'm going to be doing my Destined King of Infinity Levidras Imperio deck profile for September 2025. Now, the thing about this deck, I know this is my third deck profile for Levidras, and I promise this will probably be the last one until we either get new support or another ban list drops. So this deck actually got hit in the most recent ban list. One of the cards has been restricted to 2, and that card is Knight of Formosity Charmne. So I kind of had to do a little bit of a rebuild. I didn't do anything major, but I did cut out 2 of the Charmnes to make room for other support cards. So let's go ahead and get started with the actual deck profile. So for the ride deck, for one thing, I got these lovely Urara sleeves. I love these sleeves. I got them with the Leonorn deck set, and I actually love using them. So we got the Energy Generator, we got Stag Nipper Dragon for the grade 0, Score Piercer for the grade 1, Mantis Scythe for the grade 2, and then we are running Levidras Imperio in the ride line. We have a lot more search power with Levidras now. As I probably mentioned in the last video, I don't remember. We have a lot more search power now, so definitely want to run Imperio in the ride line. Then we are running 3 more copies of Imperio for Persona rides, and then it is also important to mention that for the Act skill, whenever you either counterblast 1 or put a card from hand into soul, you can also use this to place 3 Infinity Eyes markers instead of 2. You don't have to just use the base Levidras. That being said, if it is your first turn riding onto Levidras Imperio and you put a Levidras Imperio into the soul, that will not allow you to gain the base Levidras's divine skill. I usually don't use it on the first turn that I ride onto Levidras Imperio anyway. I wait until the next turn whenever I Persona ride, just to give it a little extra, give the Persona ride a little extra pressure. Moving on to the rest, some of the grade 3s, we are running 4 copies of Destined One of Infinity Levidras, the base Levidras. The only time you're using this now is whenever you have Imperio on the Vanguard circle. Put that into the soul. Imperio gains the divine skill, and you can place the 3 Infinity Eyes markers instead of 2. Now moving on with some more of the grade 3s, I did make a little bit of a change. I did add 1 more Murky Barbulator, just because I actually kind of like this card. I know it's not the best. You could probably run Saphira, I believe that's what it's called, the Dual Nation for Stoichea and Keter Sanctuary, to call from the drop zone. I know you can run those, but I do like the extra draw power and the extra power that Barbulator gives, so I added an extra 1 of those in there. And then moving on to the last set of the grade 3s with the 2 copies of Knight of Formosity Charmne, because we can only run 2 of these now. Really? I mean, kind of 2 is all you really need. I mean, it's nice to have 4, so you can kind of ensure that you get one of these into the drop zone just by discarding either from PG or discarding during the ride phase. But if there are 3 or more Infinity Eyes markers and you do not have a rear guard with the same name as this card, Soul Blast 1, call this unit to rear guard. Whenever this unit attacks, if your Infinity Eyes marker is in the same column as this unit, retire another rear guard. This unit gets 10,000 power until the end of that battle. Then at the end of that battle, retire this unit and draw a card. So there's a lot of important things that can happen here. So you can have Levidras Imperio. You can put this unit on an Infinity Eyes marker. That gains an extra 10k from Levidras. Then another 10k from its own skill. That's 20,000 power. Brings it up to 30. And then if you Persona ride, that's a 40k attack right there. And then you can also retire it and draw a card. So I kind of understand why it was limited. It's just a little bit of a shame that this deck took a hit. Moving on to the grade 2s, we are running 3 copies of On Fallen Autogaster, Whenever this unit is placed on rear guard, if your Infinity Eyes marker is in the same column as this unit, Energy Blast 3, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest on the top or bottom of the deck, and this unit gets 5,000 power till the end of turn. So this has happened to me a couple times, where I look at the top 2, and there's a PG, so you can add a PG to your hand, and then if it's a trigger, you can place that trigger back on the top of your deck, check it with Levidras, and then you have a lot of fun. So the deck is still kind of broken. It's still one of the best decks in the format, even in the age of Bavsargra and Roseo Vita. I still like to imagine that this deck is on top because I like Levidras so much. During the turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levidras in its card name, if there are 3 or more Infinity Eyes markers, this unit gets 5,000 power. And if your back row has no other rear guards with the same name as this unit can attack from the back row. So with Levidras, you're going to be attacking 5 times, with 2 from the back row, 3 from the front. Moving on, we are running 3 copies of Acquired Pantherod. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, there's a card in here I could take out, and I could run 1 more Pantherod if I wanted to. But right now, I'm just sticking with 3. When this unit is placed on rear guard with your Infinity Eyes marker, this unit gets 5,000 power until the end of turn. If your Infinity Eyes marker is put on your other rear guard in the same column as this unit, choose one of your other rear guards, and it gets 5,000 power. So boosting the power of your cards, while also this one, it gets a little bit of a boost too. And then on top of Infinity Eyes, that's another 15k for this unit and the unit that you gave the other 5k to. And then its other skill, at the end of the battle, this unit attacked, retire this unit, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or greater with Levidras in its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle the deck. So you can either use this for a Persona ride on your next turn, or if you don't have a base Levidras in your hand, you can add another base Levidras. Moving on to the last of the grade 2s, we are running 3 copies of Skulk Claw's Huntsman Hooli to call from the drop zone whenever there's Infinity Eyes marker, and it also gets an extra 10k until the end of that turn. So obviously it's kind of another kind of similar to Charmney in the terms that you're drawing or calling from the drop zone. It gets an extra 10k on top of its own skill, and then it gets if it's on an Infinity Eyes marker, that's another 10k, and then it also gets 10k from a Persona ride, so that's another 40k attacker right there. And then also if you have something like Pantherod, you can add 5,000 more power to it, which is crazy. Moving on to the grade 1s, we're running 2 copies of Full Knowledge Foxseal. Honestly, you can run 4 of these. There's a card in here that I want to take out, but I just haven't done it yet. During the battle, this unit boosted if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levidras in its card name. This unit gets 5,000 power. And then whenever this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levidras in its name, if your opponent's rear guard has an Infinity Eyes marker, this unit gets 5,000 power, or 2,000 power, and you counterblast 1, choose one of your units, and it can attack from the back row, and it gets 10,000 power. So whatever you have back there, whether it's Hooli or Barbalator, maybe another Anatogaster. Actually, no, you wouldn't have another Anatogaster, because even if one of them can attack from the back row, the other one can't. So have something else other than Anatogaster in the back row. Then we are running 3 copies of Inquisitive Squirrel. Honestly, you could run none of these. I kind of had them in here just because I wanted the deck to be full of all the Levidras support cards that I could have. Honestly, you could take these out completely, run 1 more copy of Pantherod, run 1 more copy of Hooli, run Saphira, for God's sake, if you want to. This one is just very situational, and I've barely ever had to use the skill wherever it moves to an Infinity Eyes marker and then gains the extra 5k. I've actually hardly ever had to do that in Dear Days or in a real game. For the last of the grade 1s, we are running 3 copies of Knight of Silent Illusion Clarence. This is just for the counter charges because you're using a lot of counterblasts in this deck with Levidras' skill, and with Barbalator and with Huli, so it's good to have the counter charges in there. And honestly, like I said, you can run one more of each of those instead of having Inquisitive Squirrel in there, or you can just have a one of Inquisitive Squirrel, whichever you decide. Moving on to the rest of the deck, we are running 3 effect PGs with Honeycomb Theris. You know, if you have 2 or more cards in your hand, choose a card from your hand and discard it. And then if you don't, if you have 1 or less, you can pay it for free, which is nice. And then we are also running the 1 copy of Elementaria Sanctitude, just for the protection against triple drive, because a lot of decks have triple drive now. It's not a special thing. You know, not just grade 4s can use it now. There are a lot of grade 3s that get triple drive. It is also important to note that this card doesn't work against I think it might be the only one that does have it, but this card does not work against Impaldio as the triple drive because it's quadruple drive, so that doesn't work. So that effect does not affect Impaldio at all. We are only running 1 order card in this deck, and that is Searching for Infinity Knowledge. Play this with Energy Blast 3 if you have a Vanguard Levidras in its name. Choose a card with a grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from your drop call to rear guard, and it gets 5,000 power until the end of that turn. And for each of the Infinity Eyes markers in the same column, so it gets, I believe, I don't know if that would also work with your adding your opponent's Infinity Eyes markers if you have them on the other side, in that column. But we're just going to play it safe and say you get an extra 10k if you have the 2 Infinity Eyes markers in there. And then for the trigger lineup, we are running 4 or 8 crit actually, with 4 Jackalope, 4 Alana. Then we are running 3 of the Lena draws for the extra draw power and the extra shield. You can run fronts in here as well to boost your front row, but I like having a lot of cards in my hand, so I prefer to run draws instead. And then we are also running 4 vanilla heals with Rhythmica Kiwi. This is actually just a really fun card. I like the design of it. It's just a super fun design. It's like kind of like Peppery Pepper, where it has absolutely no like adding value to it, but I would love to have Peppery Pepper in this deck just because it's just a fun card to look at. And then for the over trigger, we are running Source Dragon Deity of Blessings Bless Favor. Its effect, or additional effect, other than the 100 million power. Draw a card. Choose one of your units, and it gets 1 critical until the end of that turn. All of your front row units get 10,000 power, and if your damage zone has the same number of cards as your opponent's, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. So I prefer running this. I don't know if there's any other over trigger that would work better. Maybe, I mean, if you're attacking with Levidras first, so you can have the triggers, you wouldn't run Volnute because then units won't stand. So I think it would either be best to have Edis Faro or Bless Favor in this deck, and even having the Midnight, what's it called? The Midnight Deity. I can't remember what it's called at the top of my head, but the purple OT would also be very good for this deck. Anyways, so that was my updated Levidras deck profile for September 2025. This still is one of my favorite decks to play. I know even in the age of Buff Sargra, Buff Sargra is better, but this deck is still just a lot of fun. I feel like it's also really annoying to play against as well, which is also kind of decks that I like to play, which is why I like playing Prison too. Anyways, but thank you guys very much for watching this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe if that's your thing, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.